comments to access@telus.net. We are not Shaw.
Sid is having with a dear friend of his, Russell Wallace. Russell Wallace is a native writer, musician, educator. He's the coordinator of the Native Education College, and he'll be talking to us about a series of workshops that he held at the Strathcona Community Centre. Also about a multicultural concert that he's having at the end of the month. It'll be in the Weiss Hall in coordination with Public Dreams. Russell's a really interesting guy, a member of our community, so watch this.
Hello and welcome to Access TV. My name is Sid Tan and we are here shamelessly promoting our friends and community, and one of our favorite friends from our favorite community, the urban Aboriginal population, is Russell Wallace. He's a singer, songwriter, and also the coordinator, cultural coordinator of the Native Education College. Welcome to the show, Russell.
Oh, thanks for having me, Sid.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you and talk to you. We are old friends from over 25 years, and we've worked together and worked separately, and we've been on different paths, but in the past year, the Aboriginal Writers Collective West Coast and the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop have been working very closely together, and you've been part of that. Can you tell us what is going on with this?
Well, last year we had a series of workshops working together where we brought in writers from the Asian Canadian community and writers from the Aboriginal community, and they co-facilitated workshops together. And that was through a grant through the city, and so both organizations came together and applied for funding, and we received the funding, and we held the workshops at Strathcona Community Centre. We had workshops on ancestry, we had workshops in speculative fiction, workshops for youth, and workshop on land and activism, environmental activism.
Yeah. And water.
And water, which is part of, yeah.
Yeah. This is really exciting stuff. Personally, myself, I've been waiting 20 years for the Aboriginal and Chinese Canadian population to get together and tell their stories, because I believe that, you know, the history of Aboriginal people in this country and the history of Chinese Canadians is still being written. And that's what a lot of this was about, because a lot of the workshops you're doing are not only writing coming out of it, but it's getting published. And I say that regarding a special edition of Rice Paper, and I noticed that you're writing in it too. Can you tell us a little about how that came about?
That was part of the, this was part of the process in terms of the workshops. We wanted to bring together the writers, but we also wanted to have material that came out of those workshops. And so some of it is published in this magazine, which is the Rice Paper, and it's a special double issue, which was edited by Lee Miracle and Joanne Arnott, and Jim Chu was part of that as well. So like the process of getting the writings happening so it can be published. And so it is really exciting to see this finally come to be and finally be published in the magazine. And
you had some not workshops, but you actually had some presentations too at Rhizome Cafe. The writers and the poets came out and read. There was music. Just last month, there was something from my girl, Renee Morsol, and her group. There's just been lots going on, and this is by way, I think, I find this incredibly exciting in the way that Aboriginal and Chinese Canadian writers and Asian Canadian writers have come together. And I'm just wondering if, I know a lot about the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop and Jim Wang Chu and the work he's been doing, but tell me a little bit about the Aboriginal Writers Collective of the West Coast.
It's a fairly recent organization. We've been together for 4 years now. A lot of writers came to an event that was put on by the SFU campus. Loretta Todd brought together Aboriginal writers it was called Strong Words, and basically all these writers were together, and like we were saying, well, why don't we meet more often? You know, what's preventing us from doing that? And so we started meeting regularly, like we met every week, and we started off at the Rhizome. But we got space at the Native Education College, and we were meeting regularly, and a lot out of that came the idea for publishing our own works. So we got a grant to put out a book called Salish Seas, which is basically people that were part of the collective, and yeah. So a couple of years ago, we had a book launch of the Salish Seas, and we're hoping to continue that and continue putting out new works by Aboriginal writers, like established writers, but also new up and coming writers.
So on this, the Aboriginal Writers Collective, West Coast, it's kind of like an ad hoc group. It hasn't been constituted.
Yeah. Right now we're calling ourselves a collective, but yeah, I think it would be good to have a formal organization.
I got something to tell you here. The Asian Canadian Writers Workshop got together in the late 60s, and it wasn't until 1990s that it was constituted. All they did was go out to restaurants and eat and chew the fat and shoot the breeze. Is that what's happening in the
Yeah, we hang out at the Rhizome.
You hang out and you eat, but
have
the
cinnamon bun
Constitu-
and coffee.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's an awful lot of fun. But sooner or later, you might want to get to the Constitution thing. Not that you want to do what we did, because when I say we, the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop, but it does help because I would like to see, the equivalent of a magazine. There was Red Wire. There have been a lot of things come out, and this is really important. But we are coming to an end. Is there anything that you want to add other than promoting Rice Paper and asking people to buy the magazine, right?
Buy the magazine, subscribe.
Buy the magazine. Here you go.
I'm also part of another project called The Language of Rhythm, which is through the Public Dreams organization. And we're putting on a concert on March 21st, which is the International Day to End Racism. And so The Language of Rhythm is 8 percussionists from different cultural backgrounds coming together and presenting a concert. And so it's going to be at the Wise Hall, 6:30 on March 21st. And if you want more information about that, you can go to publicdreams.org.
Oh, that's wonderful, and certainly look forward to seeing you there. We have to go pretty soon, folks, but before I do, I just want to give the web page. If you want this magazine, Rice Paper, and all the beautiful writing that's in there, please contact www.ricepapermagazine.ca. That's the web page, and there'll be a contact there. And it's really enjoyable. I spent last night reading it before I went to bed, and frankly, I got a real good sleep after I finished reading some of the great stuff that was in there. Russell, thank you for being with us. It's always so good to have you, and when all this other work comes on, I'm hoping that you'll come back and talk to us about how we progress, say maybe 6 months or a year back.
That would be cool.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm here with Russell Wallace, shamelessly promoting our friends and community. I'm Sid Tan.
Comments
Thank you for
to
being with us.
access@telus.net. We are not Shaw.
All right.